Hello friends, SentinalhMC here, and welcome back to our ChromatiCraft tutorial series. In this episode, the first thing I'd like to do is go over a couple of mistakes that I was making when I was talking about this Lumen relay. And, oh come on, why is it always got to be nighttime? And why it wasn't working for me is because I'm stupid. Okay, so the first things first, I managed to fix my purple pylon. The multi-block was broken. It was missing crystalline stone underneath it, which was deleted apparently when a oil pool spawned underneath it. So we're able to get now the Zambaru out of it, and as long as we can get some of this Kuro, then we can get this enchantment decomposer to work in my world. Now the thing about the Lumen relay is that I was just placing them down, but it's wherever, but it's not actually how it works. These are not area of effect items. These work on orthogonal line of sight. Okay, so in order for this Lumen relay here to get a signal from the relay source, it needs to be straight line from it, right? So if I put one right here, it wouldn't work. I gotta put one in a straight line from the relay source. Then I gotta right click the side facing the relay source to make it the input. Okay, so if I have my enchantment decomposer like, I don't know, right there, it's not going to get power because it's not in a straight line from this stuff. But if I go ahead and place another one here, and I set the input to this side right here, so it's facing the other one, well, now you can you see that? Did you see the little orb move? Now we're getting power to our enchantment decomposer. These Lumen relays need to be in straight line directions. They can be placed on the walls, and they can also be placed, upside down from the ceilings. I do believe. I gotta be careful what I place around here because I don't want to wreck my multi-block for my casting complex. But this is why our relay source wasn't working 100% in the last tutorial, because I wasn't doing it right. I was having these not in straight lines. So make sure that they're in straight lines so that this will work. That also means that if you need to go up, you need to have a relay above and then have it on a wall or a ceiling in order for that signal to travel upwards and then travel across again. Right? So that's how you do with these relays. They're very different from the repeaters, which just work on an area of effect, and so they can be at odd angles. These need to be in straight line paths. Okay? Alright. So now that we got that out of the way, let's go ahead and craft the next thing that we're going to talk about today, and that's the Lumen Fence emitters, the Lumen Fence system. This will allow you to build a magical barrier either around a base or at least around a small area. You can make a cage out of this, but really what it's designed to do is prevent prevent mobs from crossing a perimeter, right? So we can draw whatever perimeter we want in whatever shape that we desire, as long as they're in straight line paths, and this will allow us to then protect that area with a barrier. Alright, so let's go ahead. We need a couple of things in order to make this work. The first thing to note is if I hold shift, you see this little symbol show up next to the fence emitter, which is the same symbol as the enchantment decomposer. This represents the Lumen relay. So once again, the Lumen Fence is something that doesn't get power directly from pylons. It needs to use the relay. You need to provide power with the relay to a Lumen Fence emitter in order for your Lumen Fence to work. But you don't just need the emitter, you also need these relays. So if we go into the book, I'll show you where they're at. If we scroll over past rune casting and charging to energy elements and multi-block casting, okay, and we go down, we can see multi-block casting right here. It's just to the right of where the Lumen relay is. Multi-block casting, we have here the Lumen Fence relay. Alright, so if we read the description, these relay and direct the beam from the crystal fence, allowing you to draw a perimeter. Sneak clicking with the manipulator sets the output side, whereas normal right clicking sets the input. And this is very important, and we'll take a look at that in a moment. Then we have the Lumen Fence emitter up here in multi-block casting. So this is a way of protecting our base from the hordes of mobs outside. So this will work. Energy associated with the protection and shielding is required, and it can stop creatures of all types but lets you pass unharmed. The thing about this is that it's another thing that you need the keys for, right? So you can pass unharmed through this, but no one else, like on a server will, or in a multiplayer game, will be able to. They'll get bounced back unless you give them a key, and then they right click on the fence emitter with the key. Then it'll recognize them and they can walk through it. And it requires Carmir, the red pylon power, in order for it to function. Requires a perimeter with vertices marked by fence emitters or relays. Right click with the manipulator to calculate the perimeter. Shift right click to set the output side. Each emitter in the perimeter adds to the damage dealt to intruding enemies. Let's go ahead and set this back to the daytime. I have to enable night so that we can test this later, but maybe I shouldn't have done that yet. Anyway, to cast the Lumen Fence relay, it's really, really cheap. It's 6 cobblestone, just using your casting table. It's redstone, dust, glowstone, dust, and iron. Okay, so 6 cobblestone, 3 on each side, redstone at the top, glowstone in the middle, iron at the bottom. Then we can simply cast it. It takes no time at all because it's just a simple cast. You get 4 of these. So all you have to do is cast this recipe one time, and you will end up with enough fence relays to... well, maybe you need to cast a couple times. Depends. The Lumen Fence emitter is 2 blocks tall, so I'm assuming that you need these relay posts to be 2 blocks tall. It seems to work that way, or it works out that way at least, which means that you'll need 2 for each pedestal if it's all at the same height. You basically just need to make sure that these Lumen Fence relays are all at the same height as each other, so that the beam can bounce between them. Now, casting the fence emitter itself is a bit more complicated. First, you need a block of gold in the middle of this thing, so it's also expensive. So in your casting table, place a block of gold. Then in the right above, north of the casting table, in your casting stands, you need another block of gold. So you need quite a few blocks of gold. You also need 3 diamonds. Those will go in the northernmost row. All right. We need some stone slabs, transmissive dust, aura dust, and obsidian, along with aura conducting ingots. So at the very bottom, the very southmost side of your casting room complex thing, you need to place stone slabs along the bottom row. Then just above that, you want 3 obsidian in the centers. Let me just... I know I'm doing it right. Okay. So then we need our aura dust and our transmissive and our dust and our aura ingots. So 6 aura dust, and it goes like in sort of a this pattern on each side. It sort of hugs the obsidian on the corner, right? And then we need our aura conducting ingots in the northeast and northwest corners, as well as 2 on each side, and then transmissive dust on either side of the gold block. So let me just show you that recipe one more time. This is what it looks like. Pause it if you want to take a look. And there's no other crafting requirements. No special runes required, and no pylon energy. Here's your Lumen Fence emitter. Oh, why'd that do that? We'll go ahead and cast it. I don't know why my mouse just jumped up that high. Alright, so there we go. We now have a Lumen Fence emitter. We already had one anyway, but there we go. Now, because we need Carmir, the red pylon energy, you either need to have one nearby, or you need to use the repeaters to bring that Carmir energy, over to your base. Now, I didn't bother doing that this time because I don't really care where the fence is for, demonstration. That's the word I'm looking for, purposes. I found a Carmir pylon over here, and I just built the fence near it. So we come over here. If I was having my base in that village or where my base currently is, I would use repeaters to go all the way over there. And once again, these relay sources, they drain all of the power out of the pylon and make it all gray. Okay, so here we are. I have one set up and working right here, but we're going to set up another one just so that you can see how to go about doing that. So let me use this relay to sort of bring the power of the relay source over to here. So I'll just make sure that that little symbol is there. There it is. So that we can get the power from the relay, which gets its power from the pylon, over to here. Go ahead and clear the grass. I don't know if we need to clear grass. but it seems, I don't know if grass can block this stuff or if just solid blocks the stuff. Now we need to place down our Lumen Fence emitter, and you have an option when it comes to this. You can use these fence emitters as corners of your field, like I did over here, but you don't actually have to, I don't believe. You can just place the fence relays on all the corners and then just have your emitter somewhere inside of the thing that still connects to a relay. I'll show you what I mean. I don't want to confuse anybody. So the way this one was set up, we've got our emitter acting as one of the corners, which will make it cheaper, but because these relays are so cheap, we don't really need to care about that. So I'll just draw a perimeter. Come on, I'm not ready for night yet. I'll draw a perimeter using these relays. We'll make this one a bit larger than the other one. And let's see, just grab some grass so I can put this relay at the right height. And there we go. Now, if I wanted to have my emitter inside the perimeter, I'm pretty sure I can just place it here and place some more of these relay right here. And I think this would actually work. Let's just place this right here just for fun. We'll see if this works. Now I need to set all the inputs and outputs, which is, quite important. So if I go back to the book, we can go over to it and we can see what it says about that again. Sneak clicking with your manipulator sets an output side. Normal right clicking sets an input side. So I'll take my manipulator and I will just right click on here. That's going to be an input. Shift right click there. Right click here. Shift right click. Right click. Shift right click. Right click. Shift right click. Right click. Shift right click. Right click, and that should work. Now if I hold shift and right click with this, oh, I forgot. I need to have another relay because I just moved the thing. There. Now when I shift right clicked on the center here, it built the perimeter, or at least it tried to. It doesn't look like it did it properly. I need to right click on this. Yeah, it's not working. That's not going to work. So we won't do it that way. We will break this and we will place that there. Now we don't need that. Oh, I forgot to break that. We won't need this. We won't need that. We won't need that. Sometimes I find that forcing block updates near these actually helps it to work better. I don't know. We need to go ahead and right click on a side, or shift right click on a side to set the output side for the emitter. Oh, come on, why aren't you working? I've been having a few issues getting this to work. I don't know if I'm just stupid or if you just have to do things in a very specific way. So let's go back over here and make sure I didn't get those mixed up. Sneak clicking is for the output side. So I will right click on both of these, hold shift and right click on both of these, right click on both of these, hold shift and right click on both of these. I'll right click on both of these, hold shift and right click on both of these. And now if I shift click this and then right click, we have it. Now it hasn't put the, there we go. It almost seems like I need a block update in the area around these in order for me to actually see the colors appearing. That's probably just an issue with my setup or something. I think what's supposed to happen is when you right click on these, you're supposed to see that color right away. But it seems to me like I need to have a block update. Now, I assume that when it was bright and shining, that was just setting up the it was powering up, and sort of maybe it has an arming phase, which would be neat. But now that the fence is more transparent, it's active. So what I can do, if I go in here, I had a pig thing, but let me go ahead and grab in miscellaneous some zombie eggs. I'll set myself to game mode 0, and then we'll set time to night. Now if I spawn zombies outside of this barrier, they can't get in. whenever they hit the barrier, they take damage. Now with one emitter, this appears to be dealing about 2.5 hearts per hit, so it's mostly just keeping them at bay, but it will eventually kill them. If I want to do more damage, I can replace corners of this with more emitters. So if I just use all emitters, which would be very expensive, oh yeah, but because we have all emitters, we need to power them all. So let's take our Lumen relay over to here. We'll set that as an input so that that one can get power. See, it's got the red circle, that means it's got power. When it's got this empty circle, it means it doesn't have power. So in order to do that, to get the power over to here, why don't we go ahead and stick another one there, and then we'll just bring them to the well, no, I gotta do it from like the outside. So we'll stick one here, and we'll set an input, and then we'll come over here, boom, and we'll set an input. Now this one will get power. We'll set one here with this side as the input, and then we'll set one here, and we'll set that side as the input. So it's not very efficient, my setup of these Lumen relay points, but it will work. See, there's the power. Now if I right click, shift right click, shift right click, shift right click, shift right click, this should work. There. You have to shift right click on the side of the emitter that you want to be emitting. So I had to shift right click on all those. And now our barrier is being set up. We'll go back into survival mode. Let's place a zombie. Yep, see, he can go through the barrier while it's doing this sort of setup phase where it is making this sound, and it's really bright. So make sure you remember that. Until that goes away, you're not safe. Now if I place a zombie, you see they're getting fried instantly. So with 4 emitters, this is one-shotting zombies. I don't know if it requires 4 emitters before you can one-shot zombies, but at about 2.5 hearts per emitter, if that doesn't go up exponentially, then 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 10, the math checks out. They have 10 hearts of health. Each one deals 2.5. They die. So if you wanted to use 4 emitters in your network, it would be enough to one-shot zombies. Now again, the emitters are very expensive, using blocks of gold and diamonds, but you know, if you're this far in ChromatiCraft, chances are good you've got a lot of resources. Now this works both ways, both from the inside and the outside. Okay? So you could set up multiple different cages inside of a larger perimeter. You can keep zombies inside or outside. And the thing about it is, it doesn't really care what touches it. Pigs, friendly mobs, you know. I'm pretty sure a wolf that's my friend would probably get vaporized if it touched this. I don't know. But as you can see, it doesn't just damage, it also knocks back. And with players, that's very interesting, knocking them back like that. Also, it's important to note that you can fly over this, right? So you got to make sure that your terrain is not, you know, in a place where mobs can just go over it. So if this hill was right up against this fence and it was tall enough, chances are a zombie could walk off of it, and as long as he doesn't fall right on this tile, he could fall into the fence. So make sure that there's a couple of blocks of open space between your fence and anything else, you know, including trees and stuff, so that mobs can't spawn on top of a bunch of, you know, on top of something and then walk off and be inside of your perimeter. Because if you're going to use this, you're probably counting on it being, you know, impervious. So if you know, if I had one of these around my base, I'd probably quit worrying about mobs altogether. And so then if one ends up behind you randomly because you built this in a spot where they could get there, it might, you know, be a bit scary and stuff. So you can make these very small, and you can make them very large. I'm not sure if the size of the barrier has any impact on the amount of power it requires, and I'm also not sure if the size of if larger barriers require a longer initial charge time or not. That needs some additional exploration. But you don't need to make these just squares. You can make them all different shapes as long as you have them, the emitters or relays at 90-degree angles to each other with the proper inputs and outputs set. So you can easily customize the shape to fit your area. So that's it. That's pretty much it for the Lumen Fence. You know, Shiva has one set up in the Revolution world if you wanted to see that there as well. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that this was informative and entertaining. I know that this magical fence is really cool. I really like it. Like and comment the video down below if you did enjoy it. It really helps me out. Stay tuned for more videos in the ChromatiCraft tutorial series. I'm SentinalH, and I'm signing out.